Campfire is a favorite activity of many Girl Scouts.
To help you have a fun experience,
we have put together some safety information and helpful tips.
From Troop 631 to yours.
Using recycled and household items, you can make 3 different types of fire starters. These are easy ways to prepare ahead in case tinder is damp or difficult to find. You will be able to start a successful campfire in no time.
One easy and inexpensive fire starter is the wax paper candy twist. The supplies you'll need are wax paper and dryer lint. You start by tearing off a sheet of wax paper about 1 foot long. Then you take a good handful of lint and center it at the bottom of the paper. Next, you roll up the lint tightly in the wax paper. And then you twist the ends tightly to secure it. Your finished product should look like a piece of wrapped candy. The candy twist will burn quickly, so place it in your fire structure before lighting.
A small and easily portable fire starter is a petroleum jelly pad. You will need 2 tablespoons of petroleum jelly, 6 cotton cosmetic pads, newspaper or wax paper, a microwave-safe bowl, and a microwave. Put 2 tablespoons of petroleum jelly in the bowl. You can use your finger or a spoon.
microwave jelly for about 1 minute. Take out jelly and stir it. Take caution when taking bowl out of microwave because it may be hot. Then stir jelly. Microwave jelly for another 40 seconds. While the jelly is warm, dip the pad halfway. Put pad on newspaper or wax paper to cool. The unsaturated part of the pad will light easier. The jelly saturated part will burn longer. Store the dried pads in a Ziploc bag or tin for a backpacking or a camping trip.
This is the egg carton fire starter. Our troop has used this for all of our campouts, and it's a very easy and efficient way to get your fire started. You will need a paper egg carton, dryer lint, candle scraps, or inexpensive candles from the dollar store or thrift store, a pair of scissors, newspaper, a pot of water, and a container to melt your wax in. You can use a coffee can, a glass jar, or old pot. The first thing you will need to do is melt the wax. Put it in whatever container you're using. Put the container in a pot of water and bring it to a low boil. Continue to simmer until the wax is melted.
While you're waiting for your wax to melt, prepare your egg carton. Start by cutting off the lid and the flap. Use the lid as a drip pan and then set it on top of the newspaper. Next, start stuffing each little individual cup with dryer lint. When the wax is melted, pour it carefully over the lint. A measuring cup or spoon will help you do this with less mess. You want to soak the lint. Once the wax is cooled, you can easily break it apart into different sections. This fire starter will get your kindling going in no time. As most Girl Scouts fires are planned, you will most likely be bringing newspaper and fire starters. To build a campfire, you will need 3 types of materials. These types are tinder, kindling, and fuel. At the site, you can collect other types of tinder. These include small twigs, dried grasses, dried leaves, dried pine needles, and dead bark. Kindling includes small sticks and pine cones. To test the dryness of the stick, it should snap when you break it. Green sticks are filled with sap and only bend. Green sticks will not be sufficient fire starters. Fuel is made up of small, whole logs or split wood. If it has rained recently, the sticks on the ground may be wet. You can find dry, dead branches still attached to trees. Before starting your campfire, run through a safety checklist.
Number 1, tie your hair back.
Number 2, remove or secure loose clothing.
Number 3, keep a water bucket close for emergencies.
Number 4, closed-toed shoes are required around the campfire.
Number 5, be aware or limit people around the fire.
Number 6, make your fire in a fire ring or a designated campfire site.
Number 7, clear all flammable materials away from the fire ring.
Number 8, make sure that someone is always attending or watching the fire.
We're going to show you 3 basic types of fire structures.
You can lay out your fire in a teepee, parallel, or log cabin style.
For the teepee structure in a circular pattern, lean the fuel logs towards a center point. The kindling and the tinder is placed under the teepee. This type of fire structure is better to use for cooking under a hanging pot. For a parallel structure, you will need 2 round logs placed side by side. The tinder and kindling is placed in between the 2 logs. This style of fire is useful if you don't have a cooking rack, as pots can be placed across the logs. In windy conditions, you can dig a shallow pit between the logs to shelter the fire.
For the log cabin structure, you will need at least 4 pieces of fuel. This form is similar to the parallel structure, but you will need to put 2 other logs on top of the first 2 logs to make a square. The kindling and tinder goes in the center of the square.
Here are some tips to keep your fire going.
Make sure you gather enough tinder before you strike the first match.
All your materials should be dry.
If conditions are windy, use a fire structure that will shelter the flame. You don't want to put too much kindling on the fire at once because it will suffocate the fire by blocking the needed oxygen. Let the fire burn down first, then separate the embers.
Pour the water on slowly while stirring the embers. Make sure not to splash the water. You may want to rake the fire to make sure there are no hidden hot coals. Also make sure that the coals are very wet before leaving them unattended.
This fire is out.